Hello everyone and welcome to my MPA530 Week 6 discussion board. This presentation I'm going to give an overview of the fiscal year 2022-23 revenue for the city of Rancho Cucamonga, and then I'll get into the progressivity and regressivity of the revenues of the highest revenue sources for the city. So looking at the revenues for the city of Rancho Cucamonga for fiscal year 2023-2024, there are three top revenue generators for the city. The first one is property tax. You can see which is the first highlighted section there. The property tax makes up 38% of the total revenues from the city, which translates into about almost $123 million. The next is intergovernmental, and this is made up, this is 22% of the total revenue, and it's actually the third highlighted section on this page. It's about just over 72 million. The intergovernmental revenues entail gas tax and also grants, which one of them, they have a single grant for $47 million. Which actually is for a capital project that I discussed in my last week's presentation, which is the Etiwanda grade separation project. And then the third highest revenue source is sales tax, and that makes up 12% of the revenue, and that is just over $39 million. So looking at the progressivity and regressivity of property tax, sales tax, and intergovernmental revenue, starting with property tax. So again, it makes up 38% of the city of Rancho Cucamonga's revenue. And property tax is based off of the value of the home and not the income levels of the individuals or families living within that home. And since an individual can have a higher value home separate from what their income level is, they could technically be taxed at a higher rate with a lower income level, and therefore having a regressive effect. However, there's a couple of different ways of looking at it, and that's in the academic journal article I found by Oates and Fischel from 2016 discussed the two ways of looking at it, and it actually changes whether it's regressive or progressive. And those two different points of view on property tax. One is that property tax is a tax on real estate property in general, and real estate property typically is held by higher income level individuals, and therefore higher income level individuals are taxed more than lower income level individuals. So therefore it's seen as progressive, but that really mainly applies to underdeveloped areas. The other point of view, which is more typical and actually applies to more the urban areas, is that property tax is basically a fee for services provided by the government entity. And in this case, property tax can be seen as what I described a little bit ago as regressive, in that the determinant for how much the individual pays is based off the property value and not the income of the individual. Next, looking at sales tax. This again was 12% of the revenue generated by Rancho, and sales tax is regressive in that the majority of the consumables is subject to sales tax, and all income levels pay the same percentage for sales tax, no matter your income level. And this one was really interesting. The article that I found was by John Ellingers from 1969, and it discussed a study that was conducted of the New York sales tax and whether it's progressive or regressive. And the study entailed the New York sales tax, which was at 2% at the time, and comparing its effects on income levels and family sizes to determine the progressivity or regressivity. And the study concluded that looking at family size, the sales tax was slightly progressive, and that larger families spent more on non-taxable items, and thus the smaller percentage of their income went to sales tax compared to smaller families which spent more on taxable items. When looking at income levels, the study showed that sales tax was regressive at the ends of the scale, so at the extremes. However, that the sales tax was generally proportional for intermediate income levels, which made up the majority of the study. And for those intermediate income levels, it was determined that their percentage of income was equal to their circumstances. And I found that very, very interesting. The last one was the intergovernmental, which was 22% of the total revenue for the city of Rancho. And that is can also be looked at as regressive or progressive, depending on how you're looking at it. So it can be looked, because it also includes gas tax. So gas tax can be regressive in that, again, it's a consumption-based tax and not an income-driven tax. So it doesn't matter how much money an individual makes. It depends on how much revenue, how much of their income they're spending on gas, which typically all of us is a high need for all of us. So lower income families are affected more from the gas tax than higher income families or individuals, and thus is by definition regressive. However, the grant side of the intergovernmental revenue can be seen as progressive in that it really depends on how the grant monies is spent, and the distribution of the grant funding can be provided for a lower or underserved populations for a specific benefit like tuition or housing. And in those particular cases, when the distribution is going to the underserved, the distribution of that can be seen as progressive. So thank you very much for watching my video. I look forward to watching yours.